Welcome, I'm Bill Wake. We're here working on a project, well, it's going to be new for us now, but we worked on it last year sometime, and it's basically a calculator that's designed to help kilt makers, so people who wear Scottish kilts. The seamstresses and seamsters for those have a bunch of calculations to do. We're trying to support them in that. All right, so schedule-wise, I think we'll spend a week on this, then I'm off for a week, and then we'll come back and start a different project, a word game, basically. Okay, unless this turns into a much, much bigger problem than I'm hoping it will. All right, so what I thought we'd do is just kind of walk through the features and remind ourselves what's going on. And then we'll answer a question Mudshark asked a year ago, basically, or 6 months ago. I'm curious how the hip and waist measures carry over to the pleat. The pleat designer only uses the hip measure, and I have an answer for that. So then we'll do remove some warnings, see if there's anything we need to upgrade, and then explore some of the defects that I know of, or maybe if not quite defects, kind of unexpected behavior or annoying behavior. So we'll see what we can do. And then we still had a bunch of ideas and so on from before that we might get to some of those. All right. So the walkthrough. So the basics of this is it's intended to be a regular calculator, but if you hit yard, foot, or inch, we're going to bring in some extra functionality. So I can say 88 inches equals, and because I'm displaying yard, feet, inches, it tells me that. Now, if I just said 88 equals, well, that's just a plain old number. Okay, so we're distinguishing measurements from numbers, and we're not allowing square measures. So 4 yards times 8 inches equals, no, you can't do square inches. Okay, so we've got some limitations. I mean, you could imagine a calculator that handled that. I mean, carpenter's calculators handle area. Some of them probably do volume. Not many of them probably do need to go to the fourth power. But anyway, all right. And so otherwise, this is just mostly a normal calculator. But a difference is you can say 66 and 4/8. So this gives you a way to reference partial inches. So it's not just a pure decimal calculator. We're calculating in fractions. And one of the quirks of this domain is that they mostly calculate in eighths of inches. Now they also have a skosh. Let's see if I can do that. So let's say 49 divided by 48 equals 1 plus. So it's a little bigger than an inch, but it's not as big as, it's certainly not as big as an eighth of an inch. It might be around a 16th of an inch. And at that point, you're probably, the skosh is probably a thread or two worth. Okay. So there's so many threads per inch. And, if there's just a couple of threads, it's not quite a 16th of an inch or an eighth of an inch. And so they have this kind of unique, notion of, I call it a skosh, but I don't know what they call it. They just say 1 plus or 1 minus or 12, 2.5 plus, things like that. So it has that domain. It distinguishes these two, which is a little confusing if you don't know what's going on. The next one, and this is a source of errors. If I say 55 memory plus, okay, 55 went to memory, I don't have anything that shows me the memory. So that's kind of a flaw from my point of view. I think we have room for it down here, and maybe we should show it. All right, and then if I do plus, well, that's already funny because it lost the 55. Okay, so let me clear again. I'll do 40 plus memory recall equals 200 plus 40, that's fine. But we got 200 in the memory, so let's clear the memory. I thought I had feedback on these buttons. I probably need some. Okay, so we'll clear the memory. Let's clear this too. So 55 M plus clear MR. Okay, yeah. So it seems to be storing things in memory correctly, but there's something about are you replacing it? Okay, let's do another memory recall. And that's totally not acceptable. Okay, that's a flat out error. Okay. The inability to say I would like to be able to say, let's say 6 plus 9 equals, and then plus 3 equals, well, it lost the first number. So most calculators don't do it that way. If you add two numbers and get a result, and then you say plus 3 equals, it adds it to the existing result. I don't know what's involved to fix that, but we'll see. What else we got? Oh, okay. Well, we'll come to that. Okay, so the next one is this notion of apron pleat splits. Now, I could have sworn that we had a plus button here, and you could add more of these things. Okay, but the notion they have. Okay, so here's this keyboard. Notice we have this little plus up here. It'd be nice if that were in kind of a button wrapper. Had a border on it of some sort. Looked a little bit like a button. But let's say you have, well, let's trim me down a bit. Let's say I have a 32 and 4/8 inch waist. Okay. The question with ideal, I'm going to have to recall this stuff. Okay, and let's say it's 42 hips. Okay, so, yeah, okay, so, maybe this is where, I don't know. Oh, now I have the plus. Okay, so I think what's coming in measurements are their concrete things. You can't do anything about them, right? I mean, my waist is my waist, my hips are my hips. The length is probably, well, normally it's from like the height of your belly button down to your top of your knee. Okay, and let's say that's 36. I don't remember what mine is. Okay, the spacing here got weird. That's not good. I don't remember that being a problem, but it is apparently. But what you're doing up here is you're recording the actual measurements. And then we have this notion of ideal measurements. And the problem is if you have, well, I'd have to look at the rules, I guess. I thought if your waist, oh yeah, let's make more of a Humpty Dumpty look. Okay, so I think because I'm mixing my keyboard with the real one, and yeah, see, okay, well, this shows the bug. Sometimes you get the keyboard doesn't show. Okay, so say done, and we'll click in there again. Done. Now, what I was told was, oh, it happens, but if you go away and come back, it works. You can see there actually is a little white background in this version of it, but this is really annoying. Okay, I'm going to use my real keyboard. If we do the Humpty Dumpty look, okay, the way a kilt should look is kind of like an A-line kind of thing, coming down at an angle and then straight. But if you have somebody who's got, the Humpty Dumpty, the beer belly guy, he's got a very big waist and no hips to speak of. Well, we're not going to shape it in like that because that really makes him look like Humpty Dumpty. What we're going to do is we're going to pretend the hips are as wide as the waist. Okay, so this is a problem more for men, really, but it can happen to women too. So if he has that Humpty Dumpty look, we're going to bring the hip size out to 46 and pretend he has at least as cylindrical. Okay, and then once you have these numbers, you have to make a decision as a kilt maker how much is going in the front part, which is flat, and how much is going in the back part, which has all the pleats. I really should have I don't know, show and tell stuff here or something, or at least pictures of what's going on. All right, but anyway, you have to make a decision, and there are constraints. So we can choose, it's how much is the apron, how much is the pleat. Well, if we do 24 in the apron and 22 in the pleat, that's not really right. We want the pleats to be bigger, or at least as big, okay? And the apron at the waist should be at least as big as the apron at the hip should be at least as big as the apron at the waist. Okay. So we'll get into acceptable ones. I mean, now we might, pleat should be bigger than apron at hips. Okay, yeah, so we're going to go the other way. Is that going to work? Apron at hips should be at least as big as... Yeah, well, we're stuck with the cylindrical one. Okay, so let's go back to a different one. All right, so the hips are... Well, there's a 4-inch difference here. That's really too much. Talking to my wife, she would probably prefer a 3-inch difference. So the front will be differenced by 3, and then that gives a 5-inch difference in the pleats over here. Okay, and then we can go to the pleat designer, and we've copied in from here the chosen hip size. Okay, now, I do have this, so I do have a way to make more of these. Basically, a person wants to make multiple scenarios. So you would say, well, what if I made this, prefer at most 4 inches. Okay, maybe if I brought this in and I brought this down to 20, would that work better? Okay. And now I've got more in the back than the front. That might be okay. All right. But I can look at these, and I might need, in the worst case, I might need half a dozen to try and come up with the right balance of hips and waist and aprons and pleats to make something useful. Okay, but at some point we make a decision. Here's the split we're working with, and then the pleats, we're going to work just on those. So 18 and 22, well, only the 22 is going to count for this. Okay, so we're working with ideal hip size. This is adjusted if he's Humpty Dumpty. Okay, and then the set is how wide is the repeating pattern on this thing. So let's just say it's a 4-inch set. All right, and so what this part does is it gives you the pleats. So if you did this with a 4.5-inch set, so in a box pleat, you use the whole set, and you basically divide it into thirds. Let's see if we can see it down here. Yeah, you divide it into kind of thirds. And if it's perfect, you get no gap or no overlap. But in this case, well, there's a little bit. Okay, a 16-inch is acceptable. Okay, but you can change the number of pleats. You can say, what if I did 18? Okay, well, that's getting big. The overlap is getting unbearable. I don't know at what point we give up, but yeah, at some point you just can't do it. You've got too much stuff going on, so you're switching to a different kind of pleat. It's sort of a third over on this side, but this side all the extra fabric goes one way, and so the effect of this is, because it's colored differently on the top and on the inside, if you kind of swirl, give it a swish, you'll see a flash of color. But if you're swishing left to right or right to left, it's different. It's asymmetric in the military box pleat. But whereas the normal box pleat, let's see, that's pretty good. The normal box pleat, you're seeing the undercolor on kind of equally on both. Okay, now there's another kind of pleat called the knife pleat. So these two are kind of a variation of each other. The knife pleat is more jig-jagged. And so you really get the effect of, you can see this part of the pleat, but the part that's tucked under here only shows when you're swishing, executing a turn or something. And, you get a different look for that. And this is very asymmetric. The sides are all pointing one way. Okay. And then you can assess, does that look good? I'm going to crank it up. The width, 1 inch is kind of a good marker. And then your depth is 1 4/8. Okay. Notice also we calculate the total fabric. More pleats needs more total fabric and fewer pleats needs less. So if I need 64 inches for this, and I've got 22 inches in front, it's 88 for that, whatever that all is, they calculate that. Okay. So now I'm ready to answer Mudtruck's old question that he probably may not even remember asking. But he noticed, like, hey, you've got the hip coming over, but what about the waist? We figured out the waist up here. And the answer is an opportunity for us. So what my wife will do then is she'll go through and kind of work out, like, well, what's my option here? Okay, this is 22 inch with that set size gives me 16 inches is kind of my best box pleat. All right. And then that's the hip, but the waist was 18. Okay. So she'll go back through and put 18. And then now it's saying 14 pleats, but we don't have 14 pleats. We chose 16 pleats. So she does that. So because it's tapered, it's straight and then tapered from the corner of the hips to the waist. You've got the same number of pleats going all the way down, but the pleats up on top are skinnier, so they'll be 1 1/8, and they have more overlap because, there's just the same amount of fabric going into less room, basically. And so that's the kind of process is, take the hips, decide on your ideal number of pleats, go back let's go back to the hip size. And let's say we did 16. Okay. So when I put the 18 in here, notice what happens to my number of pleats. Okay. They change. So it's not locked into that 16, but you can't have 14 pleats on top and 16 on the bottom. It just doesn't work that way. It's all one piece of fabric. So I'm not sure the best interface for that, but I think the answer is we need to kind of pull in both the hip and the waist and then lock you in so they're both the same number of pleats. And then maybe there are two pictures. One's the waist, or one's the hip and one's the waist. It's a little weird. So why I'm not so clear which is the best way to go is the hip is the driver of the number of pleats, and the waist is kind of coming along and maybe gets a little bit of a veto. So if I had somebody, maybe somebody with a real noticeable figure 8, some woman with relatively wide hips and relatively narrow waist, it might be impossible to get 37 pleats in on a waist her size. Okay. Because the narrowest, is about 1/2 inch. So if we have to do, 1.5 inch pleats on that upper area for a very skinny person, it's not going to work. And so, I guess they're going to get smaller than that. So maybe they were 1 inch or 3/4 inch on the hip, and then trying to do them at less than 1/2 inch is not going to be acceptable. And so we obviously can't change the size of the person's hip or waist. We would probably pick a different number of pleats. Now there is one adjustment that they do that, this goes back to more of the Humpty Dumpty look. Somebody who really is completely cylindrical, they have it around their waist. They have nothing holding it on the hips because the hips are skinny like the waist, or as skinny as the waist. It doesn't, I mean, I'm probably in that cylindrical category at this point. It's, they can do something and kind of give you like a fake butt. Basically, they pad you kind of like the 19th century bustle that some women would wear. They can put a little extra fabric in above, so it looks like you have a little bit of a hip. Okay, so there are tricks and techniques. I should say techniques. I always say tricks, and that sounds worse than it is. It's just, what do you have to do to make this work? Okay. All right, so I think that's all the features. And then let's go through our to-do list a bit. Okay, so this is just, we came in here once for a one-day thing, I think, and we fixed some errors and published it, I think, was what happened. But there are still some warnings because we had a lot of places that did onChange. All right. Any upgrades? 2 memory calls in a row. Show the memory contents. I think that would actually help us with some of these others. If you finish a sum, you can't just keep adding to it or anything. This keyboard problem, I don't know. We'll look at it, but I just don't know. Should we default to inches for input? Well, what happened was my wife said she needed to divide something, by 32 because she wanted to get, that's not going to work. She was trying to compute the yard, feet, and inches for something. So 64, let's make it 69. 69 divided by 32 equals, and then, I know it's 2 yards. And so 2 yards, then I can take 69 minus, let's do it this way. 64 plus or minus equals 5. I've got 5 inches left. And, I realized she didn't know what we'd put in is 64. If you say it's inches equals with yard, feet, inches here, it converts it. So I know there's gaps, and I know it's not dead obvious what to do for that. I also wonder if maybe yard, feet, inches over the numbers consistently would be a better placement. I just don't know. Plus or minus, I bet they hardly ever use that. Okay. So I don't know if there's a way to make that conversion more obvious. I am frustrated that my buttons aren't flickering because that seems very buttony of them to do and useful for us. Yeah. So notice all our numbers are converted into eighths, even though they're just numeric. I think that's okay, but I don't know. Okay, what else? Caution, startup screen. Oh yeah, so I want to put something that comes when you first come in, maybe even just when you first come in to the app ever, that's basically a little pop-up warning screen, and I want it to say something like, this calculator is designed to do calculations in eighths of inches to support kilt makers. But, you're working with expensive fabric, make sure these, don't trust these numbers, double check them if you need to. And, I can't be responsible for your fabric. This stuff's expensive. I don't know, $50 a yard is not impossible, and it can be more. All right. It's custom made in Ireland or in Scotland in many cases and so on. It's like it's not a casual thing. I mean, you can get relatively cheap kilts, but the kind you have handmade, you get some decent fabric and all that. All right, so I don't know. I want some sort of disclaimer because I want them to pay attention. And if something came up and said it's to be 66 yards or 66 feet or something, I want them to go like, wait a minute, And if stuff is close and all that, we're doing our best on this, but I think it's pretty tricky to get right. I don't know of any numeric errors that my wife has suffered through, but it's worth checking. Even I don't know. I have a relatively mathematical sense. If somebody starts giving me numbers, and I'll just keep adding them up and stuff like that. And if they say, "Oh, the sum is 82,000," I'll go like, "No, that's not plausible." I might not have the exact number, but I have a sense of how big it is, and if things look wrong and all that. I tend to think that way. Many people don't, and and some of those people are kilt makers, and I want them to double check the work and all that. And when you do it manually, you double, triple, quadruple, quintuple check it, because it's tricky to get it right. And it matters a lot because, when you're making a kilt, a lot of times you don't have to cut any of the fabric that you're doing, and you can sew it together and then take it apart, and you have a big piece of fabric you can redo, but nobody wants to redo the work. I'm pretty sure we know that. Okay. Unfortunately, we've often had to. All right. Eliminate warning. Switching box versus pleat. Reset to ideal pleat size. Okay. Apron pleat sliders spread beyond the width of the screen. I think we may have fixed that one. Provide a way to remove splits. Okay. Keypad and done getting stuck without it. Oh man, that's so annoying. Is it still stuck? Yes. I don't know how to wake it up. Now, yeah, okay, well, that's a big deal. I don't know. I think it's worse in the simulator than it is in the other one. And maybe if I turn off my keyboard. Okay. Yeah, it's interacting with that. Okay. Oh, I guess I can just Control K. Oh, okay. Interesting. Now, why is that not? Oh, it is. It's very light. I don't know if you can see it even over Zoom. This isn't a white box. This is a very, very light gray. I don't think I have control over that either. Colors. I might, but okay. Well, we'll look at this stuff. Okay. Double check the rules. The book examples seem to violate them. I have one of the Kilt books, and I've used it to kind of verify my rules stuff. Guideline analysis. I don't know what that meant. Save scenarios. Draw kilt shapes. Okay, so that one's more on the apron pleat stuff. At one point I talked about putting in a little picture here that, with, I don't know, maybe we'd show the front and the back. The front in this first one is very cylindrical. The back has a little bit of spread. This one's actually probably pretty good. All right. What state should carry? Okay, fix error message, trailing parenthesis for simple fractions only at most one, blah. Okay. Should value have error types? It's good for computation, not for I/O. I don't remember what that is. Use no formatter approach. May need an eighth fraction formatter or accept unitless values as inches. Okay. Show memory value in history too. Well, that's kind of true. Print history. It could be nice for somebody. I don't know how much they would do it, but could we send that history to a printer? Store history, restore an app, restart. Now I got a message at the front of this. I'm going to sing all those numeric ones. Look at this. Not updating last known sh mem state in C pref list source. Domain this. K preferences current user by host. No container null. Containers need refresh 503 to 506. Yeah. Custom keyboard. We get the slash and the done button. Regardless. Yeah. And that's okay. I mean, for simulator purposes, but the problem is that sometimes when somebody's using it on their phone with no hardware keyboard, it still acts like that. I'm like, all right. But anyway, I don't know. We looked at it before and couldn't figure it out, but I mean, keeping in mind that we got to toggle the keyboard thing off once in a while. Okay, this last known sh mem state, I did do a global search on this, and I found one. Like, how often do you find one answer on the internet? Okay, but this one, the error seems to be that the person was storing 50,000 items and treating it like a database. Yeah, 50,000 key values, and he gets this message. Everybody's basically saying, don't do that. Okay, but I don't think we store that much. We'll have to look at that. Okay. I mean, as I say all this sounds like more than a week of stuff, but let's just get started. All right. That was a half hour on context. All right. So, well, what we got here? Okay. Restart. So walk through the features. And your question. I think that's fair to say we did. Okay. Right. All right, so the errors or warnings, let's just do a build. And I know it's onChange, but we'll just get the onChange Swift. Maybe Swift UI. That's the one. Okay, yeah, so we're supposed to use onChange of initial 0 or 2 parameters. Okay, is this... Okay, you get old and new before you got new. So kind of an incompatible change on their part. Well, I didn't ask you to do that. I'll run tests. That'll force a build. And we'll make sure our tests are green too. Okay, I think these were all up. Oh. Okay. Many of them were unchanged. The tests actually have some issue. Okay, we're getting Swift 6 warnings. We'll see what we can do. All right, so my proposal is we're just going to we're gonna use variables instead of $zeros, and then we're gonna switch them. So selected unit format. What are you? Formatter. Okay. All right, and then it's old, new, and we wanted new. So, oops. We want the old here. Okay. Oh, no, this one doesn't use it. Well, that's the case for the 0 one. So now I'm not making any judgments on these. Are they better or worse? Okay, we'll come back to, no, those are the last ones. Okay, they probably just take one argument. Right. I should handle that one. Ooh. Let's undo this. Okay. Let's do these first. Now, why is that a problem? On change of voice split, this was, oh, in. I think we're okay there. Okay, well, that's progress. Oh, the problem goes away when you look at it harder. Okay. Use onChange with 2 or 0 parameter action. That looks like, oh, it's a 1. onChange of perform was deprecated. They may have taken the perform one out for all I know. That's all deprecated. Oh, with action. Okay. onChange of value v, perform action. New value v to void. Okay, so there must be a new one like that. onChange. This is not deprecated. onChange. Action. Oh, they don't have a perform version. Old value, new value goes to void. Yeah, the old one said perform here. I think I can take the perform off. All right, let's try fixing this one so it takes two inputs. I'll take the perform off. Make sure that works. Okay. Now, I don't know if I say ignored there, will I get a warning? Where's update for external change? Okay. Maybe I'll say old value, new value. All right, that doesn't seem to be complaining anyway. Now, I don't know why those warnings about the EGTest went away. Maybe they didn't. Okay, main actor isolated kill test. I think I just take away the main actor. Well, let's try that. Kilt measures tests. Okay, good. There was something about that with the new framework too, I think, but we'll see. Wonder if I should have done half of them. Okay, I think that's all. Okay. Okay, upgrade anything. Well, we're not a big library user. I use EGTest. I guess that might have an update. Okay. Let's force all tests to rerun. I don't know. I mean, I think. Well, I remember we took it out on the new testing stuff. And it's not complaining. I'm not sure what's turned on. I think the syntax stuff for the main actor and, cross-thread detection stuff, it'll detect syntax stuff that applies at 6, but it's not enforcing it yet. But I don't know if you'll get the complaints when you run it. I would think it would still detect it and complain at this point. I don't know. And I mean, it seems to be running and nothing's complaining, so I'm inclined to not sweat it too much. And also knowing that, if I pick this project up in a month or two and I might convert the tests over to tests in the new testing package, or at least start converting. We got 130 tests, so there's a little work to do there. And so I'm not going to sweat a whole lot of extra work on XC testing if I'm going to switch. I'm not. Yeah, some of this is not clear to me where it's all going, but I'm happy to get rid of the warning for now. Hopefully that helps things in the future. Okay. I think it was 051. 050. Then the other place of warning might be here. 17.2. I think I can leave it at 17.2. Well, maybe I'll move it up. I'm also going to update the build number on this just since I'm here. All right, so let's do a clean and build. Clear everything. Compiling what has a minimum deployment target. Okay, let's go back. Oh. 17.5 is the latest? Oh, I did have them. Oh man, we've gotten that warning before. Okay, we'll check everything in and make sure it's okay, and then try that. But it's not worked in previous cases, so okay. I think we're running tests. Oh, and I probably had to start up a new phone simulator. I'm looking back at your comments on main actor. If you put it on each function line, I thought that was the effect of main actor on the class was enforcing that implicitly. I'm not sure why he would need to do that. I mean, especially for unit tests, like I don't think it should matter to them what thread they're running on. UI tests might or will. I'm gonna look up buttons while it's thinking. Okay, all good. Enable user script sandboxing. Now it seems like we have to turn something off if we have it. Yeah, I know you can do this stuff. Oh, that's blinking permanently. Ugh. Swift lint could not be read because you do not have permission to view it. That looks like it has read write. Everyone read only. I mean, that seems like you should be able to view it. Let's try that again. I've seen this error before. I don't remember what I did to get rid of it. Who was it? Oh, there it is. Enable user script sandboxing. Okay. Now set to yes. So we need to set that flag to no. Okay. That's what it was. Sandboxing. I don't think that shows up here. Yeah. Okay, let's try it again. Okay. All right, now we can do some work on the actual app. Show the memory contents. Okay, so back on this screen, I think there's room at the bottom on the calculator page. And I would just say memory equals blah, blah, blah. And let's see how that looks. Now, we might want to try it on some different phone simulators and make sure it kind of looks okay there. All right. Wow, and I remember nothing. Okay, so let's find our app. There's content view. resizable, ignore safe area. Okay. C-stack text, that's the history. The calculator window, the format, grid of buttons. Okay, where's the grid end? That's the VStack. Okay. I want kind of a small caption, maybe. Okay. All right, a little padding and left justify it, and I think we got it. Let's put this. Well, I think that's okay. I think these are old. Yeah. Okay, he's gonna lose them. All right, calculator view, and then we're gonna have to ask the calculator what that memory value is. Good point. Yeah. How do we? Well, if it's 0, that still seems to be something, though, right? You'd see it go from memory clear. Well, let's get it in there first. Let's put this down here. I think we can do that. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look how we show the key, the main calculator area. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking we should do. Init requires value conform to string protocol. Isn't it? Calculator.display. Oh. Maybe we need memory display by analogy. Input. Where does result get shown? Not here. Oh, that's not even what we want. Okay, I guess we want that. Result is a value formatted with imperial format type, not just format. Just open that up a little bit so it's okay. So if we do 4044 m plus, now memory is 444, 55 inches. I don't know if I m clear m plus. Okay. And then if I do 33 m plus, it should complain. Okay. I'm not sure I like that lowercase format on there, but okay. I think that's an improvement. And I think it'll help us trying to figure out what's going on. And then memory clear should make it 0 again. Yeah. I think it's worth it. I mean, the reason calculators don't is because they just, in round 1, right? They didn't have the memory or the physical space. They would have to make a second display. And it's not clear they could make it bigger or smaller or whatever. So, okay, Mary minus. Okay, I think we're doing good. Memory recall, yeah. We'll run it one more time, I guess. I did change it. Put a little space in there. Yeah, now that's weird. I can enter it and do that. This other thing is more a question of how we're maintaining the state when you do something. Partly the issue is we're letting you keep the whole formula around until you do it. So it doesn't mean anything to say memory plus at this point, I don't think. Okay. I guess that's separate from the question of, is the memory working? I think it is. Now this should... Yeah, we need to look at that. All right. Well, let's do this one. This last one, default to inches for input. I was thinking I could just let everybody pretend they had already hit inches when they type it in. But you don't want that sometimes, because like if you divide 64 inches by 32, you don't divide it by 32 inches. All right, so I'm going to delete that. But I think what we have is good. Okay, so display contents of memory at bottom of screen. And I think size-wise, I don't know, I got my phone. It's a little smaller. It might be too small of a font. We'll have to see how it looks on a real system. I don't know if I can shrink it. Physical size, fit screen, pixel accurate. Nope. Point accurate. Physical size, maybe that's the one. That is a little small. Let's try body. Whoops. Yeah, I think I can live with that. And that is smaller than my phone by about, I don't know, 10%, 15%. All right. But for me, working, bigger is better. All right. Right. So what should happen? So let's push something in memory. And let's clear this. I want to be able to say 3 plus memory recall, equals. Okay, that part's okay. It's not totally useful. Memory recall plus 6 equals. Okay. Now this is weird. Or is it? If I do memory recall plus memory recall, button feedback. Yeah, let's maybe consider that one first. Now I'm hoping this is just a simple little option. Configuration, so button style. I probably want to change the size or something, not the color, but normally you're just using a tab. So I mean, which is kind of a key, you know, a press here. But I guess I don't know if I have it. Let's see what we got here. Oh, I don't have it installed on this. Okay. I don't know why. It's such an old phone. I think maybe I couldn't put it on 17. Maybe it's on the tablet. Pretty sure it's on the tablet. Okay. Is that visible? Barely. Yeah, I don't get any feedback, but it's just a tap. Well, the feedback I get is it shows up there, but this seems kind of right. And we might have a button style on there already. Look at these bizarre ads. Yeah, let's see what we have for button style. Yeah, that might be good. Oh, shrinking button style. Well, who uses that? Key color yellow. Highlight. Accent color. Well, do we use shrinking? Button dot shrinking. Which is the same as button style shrinking button, which has the asset color Okay, I'm gonna try and figure out the color wise. Foreground color is accent color. If it's pressed, let's go to color something else accent color. If it's not pressed, default. Highlight. We'll just borrow that for now. Huh, it's only the hold. Tap. Slow tap. Yeah, so if I'm just typing quick, they don't do anything. But if I pause, they shrink. Okay. Well, I'm glad it works. Kind of. Well, what am I doing here? Am I doing something? Oh, let's take that off. I think maybe the duration was too high, and if maybe smaller would be enough. Yeah. What does duration do? I think maybe it's only kicking in if I press it that long. And my normal tap is just thunk, 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 you know, not too quick. I don't know, I'm gonna make it big, get some contrast. That may be too small. Maybe I should just use ease out. I don't think I'm that fast a clicker. I mean, that's 0.005. No, it's not doing it. Okay, we're going to have to read about animations a little bit, I think. Yeah, I'm sure there's a limit on the small, you know, the entry side. But it's like I don't even want it animated, really. I don't know. I turned it off and I don't think I saw it enough. Yeah, it's just a little bit longer than I do. I wonder if I do like ease out. Trying to get that just long enough press. 0.1. I don't know if it's just coming on the. Okay, I'm sure somebody's got a tap button too quick. Yeah. Cycles through animations. No. Yeah, that's kind of what I want to do, isn't it? Yeah, that's a little different. Yeah, there's with animation. I don't know if I've done that one. If you attach an animation modifier, you get implicit changing somewhere else. Okay, let's... Opacity. I don't know. I think you're right that it's just as good with is pressed controls the animation. Yeah. And that's clearly coming in very quickly. But I'm wondering if we'll have the same deal with the state and have to make sure each button has its own individual state and just like, maybe not the worst thing. I think we'll let this go. I kind of like audible clicks too, and I just don't want to mess with that either. Okay, yeah, let's... have I changed anything net? I guess I removed the animation. Yeah, maybe... Maybe it would be the right thing to create our own buttons and give them that state for the opacity or the scale. Okay, but I think that'll do. Okay. Yeah, I think we'll leave that as a future kind of nice to have. Yeah. Okay, 2 memory recalls in a row acts funny. Well, it does and it doesn't. Okay, let me clear. Let's put our 77 back in there. All right, so if I clear again and I say for that seems weird. Sorry, that visual is distracting. I don't know if where's the calculator? Well, yeah, maybe so. Well, right now our model of input is just, here's this string and you're pushing stuff in. So MR just pulls out whatever its stuff is. Now, I don't know why it has a space there, but it didn't before, but it's just pulling it out. And if I equal, well, I think it's the spaces. It's weird the first one doesn't. Right, so for MR equals, oh, it's still messed up. Interesting. Now, that message may be the problem. Well, maybe a problem. Missing operators. Okay. Yeah, so I think... Let's look at memory recall. Okay. The space because of the units. Yeah, but I think it's... Well, it was weird though that it didn't put a space before this one, but I think this may be, I don't know if it's still a string at this point. And I get spaces now. 5, 4, and no space there. Okay. Yeah, let's see what MR does. Okay, well, it should be in calculator, I guess. Memory combine. Memory recall. Yeah, we should have a test for memory recall. Yeah. Yeah, let's take a break. Thank you. All right, so 3 or 4 minutes, we'll be back and take another look. All right, welcome back. Okay, we do have some tests for memory recall. I guess I'd forgotten, but we had something that translates strings that look more or less like our input. We have display that. Does that? Okay, that's the test one. Right, and it detects, where's M? Oh, if first letter is C. Okay. So, it detects memory clear, memory recall. Oops. Okay. So, if you hit 9 memory plus, 18 plus memory recall, expects 9, clear doesn't clear memory. Okay, this argument's, the last argument's just a mess description. 9 plus 18 plus MR. Okay, wait. 42 memory plus. We expect 42 in the memory. Okay, is what this is doing. Memory to whatever memory clear, we get a 0. Memory plus clear. Yeah, clear is independent of memory clear. The last one, 9M plus. That doesn't make sense to me. This doesn't involve clear as far as I can tell. I guess maybe it's supposed to be MR. Doesn't clear memory. Yeah. Okay. Then we have these. Now, somewhere I saw, yeah, okay, 9M plus, MR7, and it has the space in there, so we documented it. Like you say, it's probably because we're putting space in when we don't. But it seems, this one is our example, especially. 7M plus MR gets 7 space 7. Okay, so that's our documented behavior. I don't know why I would plan that. Well, it's confusing. Oh, excuse me. I mean, I think in a way the model you proposed, Mudshark, was like remove the last set of digits and then replace it with the MR value. That seems like a good model. So if I type 66 MR and it has 77, it should just replace 66 with 77. If I type, but if I just type 7 plus MR, it should say, oh, there's no digits. I won't replace it. I'll just insert it at the end. That seems more right. And I think it is different things interacting. So because we're building up the whole expression, it feels, well, it's just less clear what to do with that MR. Okay, let me go back to the real one. So clear this. So if I type 33 plus MR, that's what I would expect. Okay, now if I type 33 plus 66 MR, I think what your approach would do would turn that into 33 plus 77, as if we changed our mind about the last number. I don't think our model is necessarily totally inconsistent, except for sometimes putting a space and sometimes not. I think it is to show the missing operator. Yeah, maybe so. But, why does what is 8 memory recall not have a space there? And honestly, I think we ignore spaces. I can't tell if there's a space there. Hitting memory recall, that definitely feels weird. Okay, well, I mean, that's kind of what we documented. 7 memory plus, mem plus. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure how that interacts. It's a little weird here. I mean, it stored the 77. Yeah, that'd be an acceptable thing too. I mean, replace the digits. The difference is in a regular calculator, it doesn't show you the operators. It just turns the number in to the next number. Okay. But removing the trailing digits, I think seems okay. And it sort of imitates the calculator in deleting the last number. Now, if there is no repeating, if there's no digits there at the end, it just inserts it. That's fine. Yeah, so I think this is weird. So 66, if I say plus m plus, like what should it be doing? I don't get that. Okay, but let's say 3. Am I going to add 69, which is 223 or something? Yes. Okay. So it's acting a bit like an equals. Let me try that again. 7 times 4. If I had m plus, it's going to take 28, which is 250 something, 251. And leave 28 sitting there. Okay, that's kind of okay. But it maybe deserves a different message here. Yeah, that's not terribly far off. Okay, and let me see what else. With the other problem, if you finish a sum, you can't just do plus 7 equals. When can you store to memory? Okay. Well, I guess the answer to when can you store to memory is when you have a full formula, a valid expression, and it'll compute it and store it. Yeah, this next one's different. This ignores memory. It's just 33 plus 3 equals times 2. I think if you hit an operator first, we should implicitly put the previous result. But if you hit a number or a digit or a decimal, I mean, then that's just the new number. Okay, so 5 plus 3 equals, but if I hit a number, 2 plus 3 equals, yeah, okay. So I think they're two separate issues. I don't know. I'm liking this replace the digits thing. Well, yeah. So I think somewhere later on, I had something about the state machine. Yeah. Um, we we know. Well, I'm sorry. We could track what's legal at any point from an empty screen. Well, even this, right? If I just type the digits, it it overwrites the 0, which is probably desirable. Plus 3 equals. But if I minus 2, I really would like that to keep the old value. And so I think this at this point, right, you could hit more digits, you could hit operators. I don't know what if you do this. Oh, okay, we just plus or minus. You shouldn't hit a parenthesis. Like it would be nice if that would gray out at that point, because that's not legal. Plus or minus is not legal at the front of an expression. We could keep that state and see what we would allow. And it's kind of the same thing at the end. Let's say you have parenthesis 2 plus 3. Like the equals button almost should not be allowed there. You could do a digits, you could do a right parenthesis, you could do an operator, but you can't really hit equals. We could prevent you from hitting typing an illegal expression, basically. And even 2 parentheses, right? We could detect that, that you're at a right parenthesis and you're out of parentheses, so it wouldn't let you type another right parenthesis. That's what I mean by that state machine that would keep track of, I'm entering a digit, what can I do? Oh, you can do an operator, you can do an equals if your parentheses are balanced, and so on. Okay. And I think that'd be interesting for the calculator. That can get frustrating sometimes because things you think are legal get blocked out, and you're like, why can't I even press the equals key? All right. So I think the new version of the story is MR peels off whatever digits are at the trailing end of the string, if any, and then inserts itself. And then if you hit it twice in a row, it would just replace it with itself, and that would be cool. All right. I think that's a good one. Let me make sure nothing else sounds... Okay, so this one, MR should replace latest digits. That's a separate thing. What can you store to memory? I guess the answer is when the expression is legal. Okay, and that annoying keyboard problem. Okay, I'm going to spend 2 minutes looking at this keyboard thing. I don't think there's anything I feel like we could do with it, but it is in our way. Oh, that's entering the digits. Okay. Buttons. No. It's really not related to that one. Utility. Well, where is that keyboard? It must be on this view somewhere. Now, they keep changing Swift UI, so it's hard to know if the theories work. How to add keyboard? Right, focus state. Disable the extension. What do you mean by extension? The extra button. Oh, that's an idea. Where's the focus state? Well, I mean, really, it's putting a toolbar above the keyboard. Yeah, it's the... I think this is telling it to draw it above the keyboard. Focused field, focus state of focus. Well, let's see who's calling this. Private. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the focus state. Focused field is whoever we're typing in. Bind in for that. Okay, so this is on the... Okay, so the focus tells it which field. It's like an assignment of focused field equals length field, basically. When they're clicked inside it. So that's how we know which of the several fields we should type in when they're typing. Okay. I mean, it's sort of one of these things about, is it no obvious problems or no problems, obviously, or something, you know. I don't see anything that makes me go like, oh, we didn't maintain state or something. But maybe there's something like that. Okay. Here's his take on it. Okay. Toolbar item group, click me. When the user activates some text entry, we can present custom buttons. Attach the toolbar modifier. Toolbar item group placement keyboard. I think that's what we're doing. Toolbar item placement keyboard. Item group. Okay, let's make a note to compare to this. Yeah, that's nice. Use it with focus state. Okay, he's got kind of our example, but with one button. Button done. Where's that show up? Oh, okay. Yeah, toolbar. Well, it's tied to the focus. Right. We'll keep this example. Okay. In our to-dos. Okay. Compare our fraction keyboard to this. And he's definitely using an item group instead of an item, and I don't know if that makes the difference or what's up there, but I tend to, Paul tends to be on top of things. So, okay, so I think that's my number one annoying thing from a use point of view. These MR things, I think they're a little funny, but they're sort of consistent in a model of things, but I think the one we're going to do is going to be better. It's just kind of weird. We'll remove any spaces or digits or decimals or slashes because we interpret that differently. Okay, good. So let's go back to our calculator tests. 7M plus MR. Let's do that one. Okay, we'll clear this. 7M plus MR. Okay, so I think this is kind of like equals. Oh, shoot. Okay. 7M plus. Okay. I think this is like equals. If I type 2, I'm starting over. Okay. Right. So interpretation of M plus, evaluate the expression and insert it into memory feels okay. All right. MR though. Now let's go back to calculator. Input.add value memory input. Okay, and I think we're just saying we want different stuff to happen. We want to replace the last number being entered. Okay. So 7 plus MR. Yeah, maybe they should. But honestly, I'd like to be able to say, okay, I've got something in memory. I'd like to be able to say 3 plus 4 M plus adds the 7, And then I'd like to be able to keep going plus 5 equals, but we can't now. So I think, I don't think I want them to clear the display. It might be, for equals. You know, there's no visual indication. You can't tell, is this a 9 that's calculated, or is it a 9 and if I type a 5 I'll get 95? All right, so we have something that's treating these different. You know, it knows it's the final value there. Okay. Let's do the MR thing first. So I think, well, memory plus minus goes to history. Nice. Okay. Unsuccessful memory plus, yeah. Okay. I think this is going to be memory recall. Okay. But this is probably the same. And we'll see what we need to assert on. Okay. So our case here, 7m plus mr. I believe we want to expect 7 in this case. MR overwrites last number and oops, I lost your comment here. Should m plus clear display? Yeah, put the display back in the memory and have equals to do the same. Yeah, I think equals and m plus and m minus all kind of act the same. They evaluate the current expression and do something with the result. Okay. Oh, that suggests another problem then, right? What if I clear? If I do 5 equals m plus, it's still 14. Okay, so yeah, that's more of the continuation thing. Okay. 7 m plus mr overwrites return 7. I don't think I want to think about these just yet. All right, I'll just run this test, and we'll break other stuff because we're changing the model. I mean, I had this exact test down here. I guess I'll delete that one. We missed one? No. Okay. This fails. Good. All right. So, calculator. I guess what it wants to do is remove the last number from input. entry. Well, it's I think entry. This is more digit by digit. What's in there? Yeah. So, boy, I don't know how memory clear fits in there. Let's see who uses this. All right. Let's see who uses this. Well, I guess it's really the stream of stuff. Converts the digits to a value. When you enter anything but a digit. I don't think that's happening here. I believe what this is recording almost like keystroke by keystroke what's going in to the input buffer, but I may be wrong. But I think they share that operand of entry. Maybe we're being over elaborate. Okay, keypad. Right. Yeah. Okay. So I think that takes it back to this. This is our keypad we present on the screen. So each key has an entry associated with it. So the inputs to our calculator just kind of come in as this stream of stuff. Now, something's got to trigger it to do things. And I think it's going to have an interpretation of the entry somewhere. Well. Oh, yeah, enter. Okay, so, yeah, so this tells you when you see something, what do you do? Put it empty. Well, let's get memory clear and equals. Where's equals? Right, so equals evaluates. Yeah, I think that's all we have to do. Okay, so I guess input buffer, we want to, we got the remove last if. Who's calling that? Okay, yeah, this is similar. So if you enter a unit, so if you say 38 yards, feet, inches equals, it ends up saying 38 yard when you hit yard, and then you hit foot, it removes the yard. You hit inches, it removes the foot. And that's kind of what we're doing here. So I think I think, yeah, we'll have to remove trailing digits or anything else that's part of a number, because dot and slash and plus or minus are kind of in that same boat. Let's see. So, and we have remove last if. So if you can tell us what a digit or what a number component is, then we can do that. Okay. So, calculator op. I guess, yeah, memory recall is in here somewhere. Memory clear. Memory combine. Memory add. There it is. Okay. Yeah, so I think we'd like to say remove last if. We kind of want to do this, but different test. Memory recall. Okay. I mean, I think we want to say is digit or something like that. $0 is entry, right? So is burning operator is on entry. Okay, is operand is digit dot unit or slash. That sounds like what we want, right? Digit dot unit or slash. Okay. Back there. So is operand now that's just an if. All right, I think we want a new function. Which is a remove last while. Because remove last changes last, right? Yeah. Okay, is empty presumably, okay, yeah. Okay, so remove last while. All right, and let's go back to calculator. Okay, yeah. I think this should pass. Now, how did 3 other things fail? Okay. Oh, that's okay. We're only testing the one directly. $0. Oh, that's a good question. Calculator. So that's going to be an entry. We're passing a closure, so it's basically a function that it's a little more abstract. It's saying if you give me an entry, I'll tell you. Well, the loop in there is going to use entry. It's going to run through a bunch of entries and ask you, should I delete it or not? And what it's sort of like a function that takes an entry and gives you a Boolean. Okay, so the argument is $0 and the result is the result of his operand. Okay, so it's just sort of an I wonder if I can do it like this. I don't know how it would know what thing. I don't know. You do this in C++, right? But that's not what you do in Swift. I don't think I can do this. Yeah, I don't think I have that option. Oddly. Okay, yeah, I think that should work. Let's go look at calculator tests. Oh dear, this one failed. Okay, 7 space 7. Oh, spaces too. How is it space? Okay, I think, let me run this. I think we'll see it can work under some circumstances and not others. Okay, so we'll put 55 in memory. Okay, and now if we do 4, MR should come up 55. Yeah. Okay, but if we do MR, 44, MR, yeah. It's something about, I don't know what that space is in terms of entries though. Do we have a space? We have backspace. That's different. Entry. Let's break in our calculator. Okay, and I'm just going to run the one test. Okay, so let's look at input. All right, nothing's happened yet. Okay. We put in a 7. Why can't I find input in scope? Number 7. Yeah, I'm not sure where that trailing space would be though. But input buffer contains entries, and we don't have an entry that corresponds to that space. So something's weird. What's this? Description. Oh, okay, good. Now, I don't know where it's failing. M plus MR. We broke an MR. Okay, maybe I broke... Did I break somewhere earlier? Okay, so we're breaking at the first MR. Let me run that guy again. Okay, so I should be able to look at input.description. Now I'm here at 138. Okay, input buffer is empty, and I'm calling memory recall. I had 7 M plus MR, so I don't know, but I think the space maybe... So I think the way to think of it is when you hit 7, it stores that in the input buffer. You hit M plus, and it evaluates the string so far, which is just 7, gets the value, puts it in the memory. And then we hit MR, and it left it a space added on 141. Yeah. 141. Well, I think value, wait a minute, input.add value. Is value an entry thing? Oh. So I think what's weird is we have input, which is a bunch of entries, and we have the input buffer, which is the string that kind of like we're typing in. So I think we need to delete values as well. The value, yes, the string representation has a space in it, but it's the value entry that's the one that counts. Okay, so I think if case dot value equals self return true. I think we've got that little blob of value has, so a digit and a value, that's why there's no space between them. Okay, because the digit is still just a digit, and it's followed by a value that happens to look like digits, which maybe is flawed. All right, but I'm going to run this test again, and I believe I'll pass now. I'm very good at believing. Okay. And I think that will mean it works. All right, so 7 m plus. Now this looks like 2 7s as digits, but right now it's a value that has 77 in it. Okay, and if I do 1 plus MR 1, now that's this may be saying that the same thing should be true. I don't know. This is a little confusing because if you type 1 plus MR1, that really is an error. Should the 1 replace the 77 that it just memory recalled? I don't know. That doesn't sound right. Okay. Equals, right. That's an error. Okay, let's clear this. 55 memory recall should be 77 plus 3 equals. That's fine. The space is a little weird. We kind of really only want it if it's got words after it, I think. That was probably a bit of laziness. Okay. Now we've got tests that are failing. Oh, I'm way over. Okay. Very into it. That'll give us something to pick up tomorrow. All right, let's find these 2 failures. Involves memory recall. Involves memory recall. So I think, yeah, I mean, I think maybe that should be true, but I think that's kind of getting you to, does that seem sensible? It kind of does. Let me write that in the to-do, and then we'll, okay. And we'll have to assess it tomorrow. But I think maybe that would be okay. I mean, that's sort of, you could always hit MR again if that's not what you wanted. Now, I don't know if keeping them as values in the entry list is smart or not, but it's what we do. All right. Well, thanks for joining me today. I think we made some progress. I'm hopeful tomorrow or whenever we get to it, maybe this Hacking with Swift solution's enough different that it won't trigger the same problem. That'd be great. And this is okay. I think we'll look at the message on this. Maybe we can improve the message and make it a little more sensible. But I think we're getting some good things done. All right. Well, thanks for joining. Tomorrow, 2 to 4:30 Eastern, 6 to 8:30 p.m. UTC, as usual. And have a good evening. Bye-bye.